Hello and welcome to a special edition of an Angry Marks podcast to cover what just happened at WrestleMania 32. And the majority of us did not enjoy this show, and we've got a lot of negative publicity to spew all kinds of vitriol and verbal poison to spit all over this pay-per-view. So if you're looking for a glowing, shining review of WrestleMania 32, go somewhere else, because this is not where you're going to find it. I am the Great Sudoku. I have Abby from Thursday's Angry Marks podcast on the line with me. Abby, say hello to the fine people here.
Hello, fine people there.
There we go. We also have on the line Dan Bird.
How's it going, everybody? And look, if you didn't like WrestleMania 32 and you're thinking about turning this podcast off, I encourage you to stay up with us because maybe we'll change your minds.
Maybe. Depending on what opinion you had going in. Yeah, if you liked it going in and you need to be shown what reality is, stay tuned because we will give you one hell of a reality check. Last but not least, we have Mike Poulin on the line with us as well.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Mike Poulin coming to us from the bottom of a well.
Not tonight.
That was last show.
Oh,
I think we managed to dig him out. So we can talk about WrestleMania. I actually didn't see the pre-show matches, but if you find folks would like to talk about the pre-show matches that went on, we can do that. If not, we can just skip right to the main card.
I mean, there wasn't a whole lot to talk about. The only thing that, might be of note is that may have been a good send-off for Brie Bella. A lot of us have been talking about how she's going to be done with the company soon. Her and Daniel Bryan will be starting a family, and to have her pick up the win for the Total Divas team would be kind of a nice way to do it.
Yeah, and the match itself wasn't bad except for, Eva Marie and Lana. The other 8 women actually went out there and worked hard and worked stiff and worked kind of reckless.
Will we see Emma on the main roster again?
I
agree.
Not.
Oh, come on. She's come a long, long way in the past couple months down in NXT. I think over a couple of the people that are on the main roster, she deserves to be there.
Oh, yeah, once she turned heel, she got a whole lot better.
Yeah.
I think the bubbles were holding her back.
And it's good not to see her with Dana Brooke.
Oh, God, I hate that woman. She's another waste of space terrible. Like Eva.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as what else happened on the pre-show, you had Kalisto retain against Ryback in a match to about 25 people because of the Wi-Fi connection issues inside the AT&T Stadium. And there's not a whole lot to note. If you guys have anything that you thought was noteworthy about that match, feel free.
No.
Nope.
All right. That's pretty much what I thought the consensus was going to be. And then you had the Usos versus the Dudleys, which was kind of a nothing match as well. Just ended with essentially Usos trying to be the Young Bucks with a super kick party.
Yep. There's nobody like the Young Bucks. Sorry.
That's right.
But maybe imitation is the best form of flattery. Who the hell knows?
Yeah. So, and then Dudley's immediately going back on their no more tables thing and then just getting put through tables with stereo splashes. Completely no sense made whatsoever.
Pretty much like the entire rest of the card.
That would set the tone for what happened on the main card, as there was a lot of symbolic middle finger from Vince McMahon to the fans in attendance and the fans watching at home. Although the first match on the main card, it was more of a what the fuck moment than it was this is crap. We had the Intercontinental Championship ladder match up first with Kevin Owens taking on Dolph Ziggler, The Miz, Sami Zayn, Stardust, Sin Cara, and Zack Ryder. And for those of you who are listening to this who have not seen the pay-per-view, guess who won this match? You will never guess in a million years.
The guy who wasn't supposed to be in the match originally, from what I understand.
Yes, the guy that got in there because Neville broke his leg.
Woo, woo, woo. Ended up winning the Intercontinental Championship in this ladder match with Miz just sitting there on the ladder showboating, looking like he's going to reach it. And I'm so glad it wasn't Miz that grabbed the title. I'm not upset that Zack Ryder got it. It was just quite a shock. It was like, I thought it was going to be Owens or it was going to be Zayn. Zack Ryder didn't even enter into my mind. I'm not mad that he won. He deserves it. He's over. But it was just one of those what the fuck moments.
Okay, so here's the question here. 2 questions. One, do you think that someone in WWE maybe sees more money in Owens and Zayn as a feud to not do it here at Mania?
I think it's more along the lines of freeing those two up to have a long singles feud, while maybe the lower mid card has something to fight over with the IC title.
I kind of see that. I can see that. Yeah.
Maybe just maybe with the Raw after Mania, Ryder loses it to somebody new coming in and debuting. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Yep, I could see that.
Ooh, yeah, that's a really good idea. Because something we'll get to later on, we had somebody that I never, ever expected to win the Andre Battle Royal, and that could be a good candidate to drop the belt to.
Oh.
We'll get to that a little bit later. They held that for really late in the show, which was just another clusterfuck of epic proportions of just mismanagement and just booking disasters. But yeah, Zack Ryder isn't the worst thing. Winning the IC title wasn't the worst thing that happened on this card. And I do agree. I do see him dropping this title very quickly because I don't think the brass at WWE has any faith that they're putting in him whatsoever to carry this title and run with it.
But they're going to just give him a short run now. Maybe
this is a moment in the sun kind of thing. Like, I don't know that he'll be back on the main roster, because what the hell do you do with Mojo Rawley after that point? But
Mojo Rawley is terrible.
Yes, he is. But literally, Zack Ryder's the only thing keeping him in the company. So, if they were to bring...
No, just get fired. I stay fired.
But this match did deliver pretty much what I wanted, which was kind of almost an ROH throwback for Sammy and Owens. Like, we saw some really great spots between the two of them, with the ladders involved, which they built a career off of those matches with each other, either as tag team partners or as singles competitors. I loved everything that happened with those two. And honestly, going into it, I didn't expect them either one of them to walk away with the title. I thought it was going to be, honestly, Ziggler. But they're never going to put him over.
They wanted to go the shocking route.
Ziggy's plateaued. I don't think he's going any further in the company.
No, and I think he's kind of understood that.
I just wonder if Cody Rhodes is okay. That was nasty.
Yeah, that was a disgusting bump.
But at least...
What even happened? They just showed it on camera that there was a bent ladder and Cody Rhodes over it.
Sin Cara
Yeah.
jumped and landed on him and broke the ladder. The only plus to that was that they didn't do it on the polka dot ladder that was in honor of Dusty Rhodes. That'd have pissed me off big time.
Which was nice. That wasn't even the spot of the match for Sin Cara. Sin Cara, I thought, had the spot of the match where he was getting pushed off the ladder, didn't botch it, as Abby pointed out on Twitter. Sin Cara actually springboarded off the top rope as he was getting pushed off of a ladder and took 3 guys out on the outside. That was my mark out moment for this match.
He kind of took him out. Nobody really caught him, though. He kind of just face planted on the floor.
Kind of, but to be able to hit a springboard while you're falling off a ladder is still damn impressive.
Oh, yeah, that is.
And you don't botch that. That's even more impressive.
I think the secret to this is maybe don't do the springboard entrance, and you won't botch a match.
That could be it.
So, yeah, don't use them all up on your entrance.
Yeah. But I would like to note, again, Cody wearing the polka dots and having the polka dot ladder was a misty eye moment for me. That was really, really great to have that sort of little tribute.
That was nice.
Yeah, that was good to see. It was good to see when he did the tribute to David Bowie too, but yeah, to his dad with the polka dots, which the gimmick that WWE had for Dusty Rhodes. And yeah, getting that ladder out from under the ring, that was kind of cool. He pulls it out and you see it's got the polka dots on it. It's like, all right, that was a thumbs up for me too.
It wasn't regulation size, but it was good for like a tribute moment.
It was, and the fans booed when was it Owens who threw it out of the ring? Yeah, it was Kevin Owens who threw it like up the entrance ramp, and the fans just booed when he threw that out. So it was nice to see that the fans appreciated the Dusty Rhodes tribute there too.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to talk about with the ladder match before moving on?
I'm just looking forward to seeing more Sammy and Kevin going forward. Even if there's no title in play, like, just the pure heat in this angle is so
I think
good.
that might be a better story you can tell without the title being involved here.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably better to leave it kind of unclustered.
And they have freedom up for that now. Yeah, they can just tell their story and their feud just one-on-one, no titles, just mano-y-mano.
Plus, I think
which will be great.
Yeah, the next pay-per-view is going to be, what, Extreme Rules, right?
Payback.
Payback? Okay. Extreme,
May 1st.
Yeah, they flipped those around, didn't they?
Yeah. Payback is May 1st.
Okay. Well, then perfect. That's a great place for them to do that.
All right. Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how that feud will progress even going forward starting tomorrow night on Raw.
Yep.
So hopefully we'll see something come of that. But yeah, let's move on to the shitstorm that happened in the next match. We had Chris Jericho taking on AJ Styles. I'll cede the floor to Abby first because I know there's a lot she wants to vent about this match.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was saying this earlier. I'm just going to throw this out there. AJ Styles wrestled in Ring of Honor's biggest show of the year in December, Final Battle. He had arguably one of the matches of the year at Wrestle Kingdom in January for New Japan against Nakamura. Came in at the Royal Rumble, all this great hype in WWE. Has fought with Chris Jericho for fucking months now in less than stellar matches. And then goes to WrestleMania, his first WrestleMania. And what do? They have Chris Jericho kick out of every single fucking move AJ has. And they have AJ Styles lose this match to a part-time wrestler, part-time wannabe rock and roll singer, who literally has less than nothing to offer the company in terms of money, longevity, anything like that anymore. Styles is selling out every bit of merchandise they put out for him. He's getting huge pops everywhere he goes. He's over as hell, and they have him lose. For what reason? The only thing I can think of is it's like Sting from last year. WWE and their grand big machine had nothing to do with creating AJ Styles, making AJ Styles, nothing to do with him being the best wrestler in the world today, according to anybody who has any legitimacy in making these decisions. And it was a big fuck you to Ring of Honor, to TNA, to New Japan, to AJ Styles, and to all of the fans who have watched this man turn into who he is up till this point. And I hate to say this, but I'm willing to bet that it tickled Vince McMahon to death to watch AJ lose. Just like last year with Vince having to prove that, hey, we beat WCW 14 years after the fact. Let me prove it again by having my son-in-law beat the face of that company. Let's do it again with AJ Styles, a man who was signed for 3 years, getting paid a shitload of money that they fought to get, went after to get, and brought him in, and now have him lose to a part-timer that's fixing to leave and go on the road with Fozzy again. What was the logic? What was the point? Because honest to God, I can't think of anything other than collective ego stroking for the WWE.
I hope that money they're paying AJ Styles is worth the jobbing out that he's getting. And he was completely neutered in this match. When you say every finisher, it was not just every finisher, it was every submission. It was the calf crusher that Jericho was able to get out of. It was the Styles bomb that Jericho was able to kick out of. It was the Styles Clash that Jericho was able to kick out of. It was a springboard 450 splash that Jericho was able to kick out of. And then how does Jericho end up winning the match? With a code breaker that barely catches AJ Styles at all. It catches him in the arm.
That looked weird, and that should have ended the match. That shouldn't have ended the match.
It shouldn't have ended the match, and no, I mean, I think it's really burying Styles, too, to have an aging wrestler who is a part-timer who isn't going to draw money, isn't going to draw crowds, kick out of every single finisher consecutively, getting bigger from the Styles Bomb to the Code Breaker, or to the Styles Clash, to the 450 splash that he springboarded off the top rope. It's just, no matter what Styles hit Jericho with, he kept kicking out. And like I said, kind of reminded me of that time one of the guys from Insane Clown Posse took on Sabu and just kept kicking out of everything that he was throwing at him. And it was just like, no, this is wrong.
Let's remember, was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago when Fandango made his debut at WrestleMania. Fan-fucking-dango beat Chris Jericho. Fan-fucking-dango can't even be found on Main Event or Superstars now, but he beat Jericho at WrestleMania and AJ Styles didn't.
They brought that up when Jericho and Fandango had their match on Raw a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Can y'all tell I'm a little bit pissed about this?
Just a little.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, I think in recent years, like WWE has forgotten that WrestleMania is supposed to be the end of a lot of feuds. It's supposed to be like the culmination of what they've been building at for months. This realistically...
It can't go on any further.
It shouldn't.
Do something else today, Jay.
Yes. And the only way it makes sense is, you know, the people who are supposed to be coming sometime very, very soon, backing him up in this endeavor. But even then, you're kind of not giving AJ legitimacy. Like, I can't do this on my own, so here are these dudes that I used to run with in Japan will come in and help me. And I hope to God they don't do it. And I'm just speculating, but...
Well, that would make no sense anyway to how AJ ended his stint with the Bullet Club.
I understand, but like, the thing is, when you have, and I don't think I can put it any better than Abby did. You're talking about a guy who isn't in the company most of the year, and a guy who is clearly supremely over. Like, the pop that he got at the Royal Rumble alone should have set this guy on a different course. And so it has to be that mentality of, you're an outsider, so we're going to treat you like an outsider.
Which makes no sense with the money they threw at him and, you know, how aggressively they went after AJ Styles to get him away from New Japan. It's like, did you really spend all that money and campaign that hard to get AJ Styles just to bring him in so you could bury him? And the answer seems to be yes, but that makes no sense.
And see, another point. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. The Styles Clash is essentially a banned move. Like, Vince doesn't like it. Vince understands how many people have been injured by it. So it's one of those, like, special occasion, like, big moves. And him kicking out of that, which, you know, is not an approved maneuver at this point. Like, that's why he's using everything else. He's using the forearm shot and the calf killer, like, or a calf crusher, sorry. That's his primary finishing set. So to have him pull out this move, which he's not supposed to use unless, like, given explicit approval, to have him kick out of it, it just doesn't, it makes no sense whatsoever from a billing standpoint.
And another thing with this is, where does AJ go now? It had been floated around about a month ago that he and Owens were going to have a program next after what happened at the Royal Rumble. Well, now they've called Zayn up and it's going to be Zayn and Owens. Logically, what does AJ do now? I mean, everybody's still out injured. You're probably going to have people coming back in the next month or two. But where does he go now? Who does he legitimately have to face?
I'll tell you how I would book it. I would put him against Del Rio, even though Del Rio is saddled with that stupid-ass League of Nations. He's going nowhere. But you want to rise the stock of two guys in your company real quickly, throw Del Rio and throw Styles in a feud together and watch them both take off.
Yeah, but that's only if they disband the League of Nations. Otherwise, it's just going to be a joke.
Do we even want to talk about the League of Nations?
Well, we have to at some point.
They were up next, and I'll say it. I've said it before, and I'll say it again here and now. Fuck the League of Nations. They are not over. Break this ragtag heavyweight group of social outcasts up, because this match was a 6-man tag team match between the New Day, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, and Big E Langston versus Alberto Del Rio, Rusev, and Sheamus. And this was the most boring, god-awful match on the entire card.
Wait, Barrett wasn't in the match? I thought it was 4-on-3.
Barrett was at ringside. He was not in the match.
Okay, that means I just zoned out after New Day's entrance.
Yes, they made it into a strict 6-man 3-on-3 tag team match. Barrett did come out with them, didn't wrestle, but my God, when the fans started chanting up, up, down, down, and that was more exciting than anything that was going on inside of or out of the ring, you know it's a bad fucking match.
Yeah, and it was sloppy even by New Day standards. Like, New Day has impressed me at every single turn. Like, the kind of moves that they pull off, the fact that Kofi's adopted that mushroom stomp as of late, like, he even botched that. And I imagine that's partially Sheamus's fault, but it just, things that have become what they're known for didn't even go over because either just the sloppiness of who they were working with in some cases or just really weird spots like, Langston's dive, like, was atrocious. Like, I legitimately thought he was injured on that one.
That suicide clothesline dive through the ropes?
Yeah, because if you notice, he was the legal man, and then they had to call an audible and made Kofi the legal man.
Yeah, he was down and out for quite a bit out there outside the ring after that.
Yeah, they ended up, like, reverting to lucha rules all of a sudden, where person goes out of the ring. Yeah, like, he was the legal man when he did that dive, and then all of a sudden, they called the audible, and Kofi was legal, and tagged in Xavier for that backbreaker stomp thing.
That hot tag, yeah. And, I mean, this was one where Sheamus ended up winning the match for the League of Nations with the Brogue Kick, and I didn't even mind that Sheamus was the one who got the win because it put an end to this match that was just, quite frankly, boring the piss out of me.
Yeah. And by far, the most entertaining thing of the entire match, if we're not counting what happened afterwards, was the New Day entrance. That was amazing. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I just didn't want that to go by the wayside because, between the giant box of Bootios with giant pieces of cereal to boot and then Super Saiyan outfits, are you kidding me? That's fucking incredible.
That was a big box of Bootios, let me tell you. That's a lot of cereal.
Stevie J had posted a picture on social media when they were setting that up, and I immediately got excited for that. Like, that was the entrance of the night as far as I'm concerned.
And unfortunately, the match was not good.
No, the match didn't live up to that entrance at all.
Yeah. By New Day standards, that was not a good match whatsoever.
And it probably had more to do with the opponents.
The whole program between these two teams has been kind of weird, honestly.
Yeah. And it was all for naught. Like, tag team titles were not on the line, although
So where do you go with New Day from here?
Anywhere you want to. They're over. Oh, I would love to see that.
Yeah. Actually, there's another option that I thought about earlier today. Could you imagine? Fuck off. No way. Hate him. Enzo and Cass would be such an entertaining program with New Day.
Oh, God, just the promos alone from Enzo and Xavier, that would be cold.
The problem is that aren't both teams kind of faces right now?
That doesn't seem to matter since it changes from week to week.
Yeah, and besides which, even if they are both technically faces going into it, who cares? It'd just be entertaining. That's money.
I'd like to see that too, yeah. I mean, bring them up. They're ready.
Unless they put New Day against the Dudleys.
Oh, God, no. Dudleys need to go away. So they have nothing to gain from putting the New Day against the Dudleys.
Well, the Dudleys are the only damn heel team.
Yeah.
They're together team for some reason.
They're there, but the New Day kind of gets over. I mean, the New Day they were trying to push the New Day as heels, and they got over as faces. I don't think it matters which way the New Day works, if they're working against a face team or a heel team. I think they're going to be cheered either way.
Yeah, but now they're like legit face team.
No, man, like, he tried to pull the tights on Sheamus during one of the pins. Like, they're gonna work heel, but it's that, almost Austin heat, where it's like, yeah, everything he does is underhanded, dirty, whatever. You're not supposed to like him, but you do. It's the DX thing. It's just, you're
the cool heels.
Yeah, exactly.
And you had talked a bit about, you had mentioned it a little bit there, Dan, about, what happened after the match. Would you like to go into the shenanigans that went down after the match?
Sure. So Wade Barrett, who is the least entertaining person in that group, unfortunately, at this point, took the mic and said there are no three men who can stand up against the League of Nations, which I don't know why you specifically mentioned three people when there's four of you in the ring, but cue Shawn Michaels music. And Shawn comes out in full gear. And then he stands at the top of the ramp, and Mick Foley's music hits. And then, while they're both up there, Austin's music hits. So, they proceeded to go down to the ring. There was this whole, oh, you're only three people, we're four people, even though I just said three people. New Day pulls out one of the members of the League of Nations, and we essentially just get a Legends beat down on the League of Nations.
Yes, let's bury the team that just won.
WWE logic right there.
Well, it's the League of fucking Nations. Fuck them.
Yeah. But, like,
Rusev
that
takes
could
a
have
hell
just
of a
been
stunner, though.
Yeah, oh my god, yeah. Rusev oversold that beautifully.
Almost like Rock taking his stunners years ago.
But really, why couldn't that have just been a promo? Why even include the New Day in that at that point? Why don't you just have, as a promo, League of Nations coming out without a match, saying, you know, we're the toughest people in this company, there's nobody who can stand up to us, and then do the exact same thing. Save yourself the embarrassment of having the New Day lose under no real circumstances, and also
I think it's
the
a
same sort of
situation where they wanted to get the New Day on the card.
I agree with. I think it's a better idea of not having the New Day come out at all. But yeah, have the New Day take on the Dudleys or something. You know, bump the Dudleys up to the main card, or Enzo and Cass, or have a tag team title match on your biggest show of the year. But again, yeah, have these League of Nations jobbers come out and just run their mouths that nobody can beat them, and then you have the Legends come out and kill them. And hey, that way Xavier Woods doesn't have to take a stunner because Stone Cold.
And you know what would have made even more sense than that? Have them say there are no 4 people that can do it. Eliminate that whole fucking nonsense with The Rock, which we'll get into a little bit later, and then have those 4. That would make a lot more sense. You save Bray Wyatt the embarrassment of cutting down him yet again on the biggest show, despite the fact that he's supposed to be the biggest, baddest heel they have right now, who can cut a promo like a goddamn god. You just cut all of that out. It doesn't make a difference then. And then, hell, have Cena do the announcement of the attendance record. Don't have him get involved in anything.
Boy, I really wish that the WWE booking committee had like 1/10 of the sanity that you do.
They're a bunch of Hollywood writers for Vince to suck up to. Why the hell would they have sense? This show was not about making sense. This show was about Vince's fuck you. No, this show was Vince's fuck you to everybody. Yeah, like, I'm going to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, with who I want to do it with, and screw you if you don't like it. Well, because I know better and I'm in touch.
I think that's a really good transition for the next match, to be honest, because...
So do I, because I was surprised that this next match came before the Battle Royal did.
Yeah, and so for those of you who did not watch the pre-show, they made a very big deal out of the new title for the women's division. We're no longer calling it Divas, what I understand.
Yeah, different match was next.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's it's all a blur at this point.
It's all a blur. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why they would we had Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar next in the street fight. The first thing that immediately struck me, as I had said with this, was that they put this on before the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
Here's the deal with that. There is actual logic behind the Battle Royal. And here's the logic with the placement of the Battle Royal. You had Hell in a Cell with Shane damn near fucking dying in front of his children. And the fans, honestly, they needed a segment. They needed something in order to come down from that match. And if you look at Mania, they do it every single year with a match. Normally it's the Divas match. Luckily this year it wasn't.
Essentially the piss break match. That's there was a video with Sasha crying over the fact that it used to be referred to as like the piss break match.
Yeah, and so this year, I mean, there is a method to the madness of this, and I can understand why they did it, and it makes sense because the fans needed a time to come down, and that whole 20-minute Rock clusterfuck wasn't going to do it, but the Battle Royal did.
I mean, the way I would have booked it, I would have had Ambrose and Lesnar third to last. Second to last, you have your epic letdown match anyway of Triple H versus Roman Reigns, and then you end it with Hell in a Cell. Then you have your letdown match in the middle.
Yeah, but all the booing and all the fan interaction, that's not what you need on a show like that between those matches. You need something for the fans to decompress. Dead last. No, but you need something for the fans to decompress, so it actually makes sense in a way.
But this is the one that a lot of people were least invested in, and given the way it was booked, it would have been fine if people decided to take that as their concession break or their piss break. That's the one that, I mean, we were talking a couple times now, prior to recording, that the fans clearly weren't into it. They were chanting whatever they wanted to chant. It was It was a slow burn, bad match. I was watching Max Landis be bored through half of it. It was a nightmare, but we're like all over the place now. Should we talk about
Dean and Brock?
Ambrose and Brock. God, what a letdown.
Disappointing.
So explain to me why we had weeks worth of promos with hardcore legends gifting him weapons, with, that amazing promo of Ambrose training in the desert, just to end with him in fairly short amount of time.
Less than 8 minutes.
Beating Ambrose.
The match itself was less than 8 minutes.
On the cards.
Well, yeah, why do you bother to have Cactus Jack come out and give a barbed wire baseball bat to Dean Ambrose if all he's going to do with this baseball bat is make out with it and not hit Brock Lesnar with it?
Yeah.
Well, number one, that would not be PG. This was
so
the
why
best
introduce
built
it at
match.
all?
Why do it?
I know. This was the best built match going into Mania. The only thing that was missing from the build was a moment in time where you had Dean Ambrose on one microphone and Paul Heyman on the other. Other than that, it was the perfect build. The match could have been great. It could have been so much more. Ambrose should have won it because Brock wasn't going to suffer in a loss. And Ambrose is the most over person on the damn roster. And there was no logic, rhyme, or reason to anything that happened during that match at all.
Nor was there any pacing. I mean, it wasn't for like a suplex type match that Lesnar would work. It didn't have that kind of pace. For a weapons match, while Dean got out a lot of weapons, he didn't tend to use them very often, which surprised me. It didn't really feel like a street fight. It didn't really feel like a wrestling match. It didn't really feel like a hybrid of either. It just sort of felt like a clusterfuck, especially when you have Ambrose taking out the barbed wire bat and licking it and making out with it, and taking out the chainsaw and then not using that either.
Well, in the first place, what was he really going to do with that?
Now you can always hit Triple H in the head or Brock Lesnar in the head with the butt end of it. You don't have to hit him with the sharp end of it.
Or even if he does the kind of thing where, because he couldn't get it started, which, whatever. But like, say he threw Brock into the steps and then Brock's kind of laid out. And yeah, they're not going to let him actually use a chainsaw on it. But you do that thing where he goes to hit him while he's on the steel steps and he moves out of the way and sparks fly. It just would have been cool visually. Like,
or doing that with that bat too.
Anything. Fucking anything.
Anything other than making out with that barbed wire bat. That was just fucking disturbing.
I actually kind of dug it. I'll be honest with you. I
did too.
It was cool from the Lunatic Fringe aspect. Like, that was a neat little moment. Probably in the whole match, that was my favorite thing.
Yeah, because every woman wants a man that looks at her the way Dean Ambrose looks at that bat.
See? That's what it's all about, people.
Exactly. I mean, that's that one little, that's the logic with that right there.
But it was just a bunch of teasing. It was, a lot of us know what Dean Ambrose's background is. We know the John Moxley, hardcore stuff. They've been showing it in some of the promos of the kind of stuff that he did in CZW. And
I really wanted him to break out a fork just to see it.
Yeah, go a little bit, Abdullah. Maybe
channel Mox just a little bit.
Yeah, we're not asking for big Japan fluorescent light tubes, but yeah, a fork would have been fine.
Yeah, we're not getting glass, we're not getting, legit barbed wire, but just something other than a kendo stick shot.
And that's all it was kendo sticks and one chair and then a pile of chairs.
Mm-hmm.
And Brock wouldn't even take the damn DDT on the chairs. Missed the chairs completely.
Or how about that one suplex where Brock suplexed Ambrose, and Ambrose landed over the chairs, and Brock unintentionally took the worst of the landing when he landed squarely on that pile of chairs.
Yep. Yeah, that was funny. And you know what? All the credit in the world to Dean Ambrose. He really did, take some of those suplexes like a champ. He's thrown his body around, and that's what I expected going into it. I expected, the Suplex City thing to happen. Just Ambrose getting whipped from pillar to post, as it were. And then, okay.
Take it and then come back.
I was talking to some actual pro wrestler friends of mine. And they said that logically, of course, Brock is going to win. I disagree with that entirely. From a ring psychology standpoint, you make the match a street fight to even the odds. That's the whole point. It wasn't like just a straight up wrestling match. Yes, in a straight wrestling match, with actual disqualification rules and everything like that, Ambrose more likely than not loses. That's what Brock has built his career on. He doesn't have ring psychology. He doesn't know pacing. He doesn't know anything. He knows how to throw people around. You make a street fight to eliminate that factor, and you still make him fucking lose? What sense does it make? If that was your intention, just make it a regular match.
It seems very similar to what they did to AJ Styles. It's like all that momentum, all of that character we saw developing in Dean Ambrose, who keeps coming back for more, that just instantly gets killed the minute he's in his type of match, a street fight, and gets beat by Brock Lesnar anyway.
Yeah. And
Big
again,
fuck you from Vince.
And the question we've been asking for several of these matches, where does Ambrose go from here? Lesnar's fine. Lesnar would have been fine regardless of what the outcome is. What does this do for Ambrose?
It buries him.
It doesn't bury him, but it really devalues him. And maybe this is just a weird conspiracy theory of mine. Maybe he lost because he is so much more over than Reigns. And a couple of weeks ago, those two were in a tag match. Reigns got booed out of the building. Ambrose got cheered to the rafters. And Vince doesn't want Ambrose as the face of his company or the most over guy in the company. So here, all you fans, here's this guy you cheer so much, love so much, respect so much. Guess what? He's going to lose. Ha ha, fuck you.
Pretty much.
But the purpose, like, if you're smart about booking, if you understand what the business aspect of wrestling is, having guys like Brock or Jericho who have storied careers, multi-time champions, all these accolades, those guys are in place to get the guys over that you need to get over for the future. That's just what any smart businessman would do. That's how any independent company runs. That's how, even as much as I hate them, TNA runs a lot of the time. They understand that these guys who have been around forever and are supposed to be the guys that win on paper, they lose to the guys who are going to fucking be there for you.
Yeah, but you said it to begin with. The people that understand booking and understand how professional wrestling works, guess what? This ain't professional wrestling. This is sports entertainment. So you really don't see that in the company. And that's a big, huge problem that's becoming more and more apparent with WWE. They are more concerned with marketability studies. They are more concerned with being a, quote unquote, according to Roman Reigns, a kid-friendly show, a kids show. And the people that can sell merchandise, even though Ambrose and AJ are two of the top sellers, they are more concerned with that and not offending anybody and being extremely PG and garnering as much mainstream attention as they can, which they can do from guys like Roman Reigns because of how he looks, and Chris Jericho because of his other career, and John Cena because whatever the fuck he is. They're more concerned with that than actually making decisions within the company with the talent that makes sense.
But I don't think that's all the time true. I don't think year-round.
Well, it's the majority of the time.
No, this is something that has become very specific to the big shows. This is something that Mania, especially the last couple years, like, they don't understand how to book Mania anymore. They don't understand that this is supposed to be the time when, and like Daniel Bryan going over, when you look at it from that aspect, like him winning at 30, that's the kind of thing that should be happening all the time. That's fans getting invested in these people. That's,
and maybe that's the problem, though, because that's not the route Vince wanted to go. And maybe he's bound and determined right now that he's not going to let what the fans want and the vocal majority make him change his plans again. He had to give in one time, and I'm sure that galled his ass so bad to have to give in to the fans, because he's supposed to know what everybody wants, and he's supposed to know what's best for everybody, and it's his company. And the fact that he has to give in, Vince McMahon does not give in.
But this has been a multiple time thing now where the NXT show polls better with critics, with fans, with everything than what the major event show does. It was the same with SummerSlam, with NXT Brooklyn. If you look at how well received that event was compared to SummerSlam, and it's going to be the exact same thing tomorrow morning on every dirt sheet, on every website, on every blog about how much better the NXT show was than the main show.
Then answer me this question. What's the difference between the main roster shows and NXT?
It's booking. It's
But
letting
guys
like Triple H, who
what does the main
business.
roster have that NXT doesn't? And that's Vince McMahon.
Exactly.
He's the problem.
The sad truth. And it might be, it might be Michael Hayes. It might be whatever dudes that are creative. They're just,
Vince's yes men. And that,
Yeah. It's the Laurinaitis thing. It's the exact same thing that Punk talked about during the goddamn pipe bomb. It's the out of touch Superman, this is the guy that looks the part thing that we've been dealing with ever since Punk spoke out about it, and we wised up to it, or the masses wised up to it. I think people like us who have followed this kind of thing and understand what needs to be done have been frustrated about for years. And like now the public at large kind of understands it. And it's not like Cena wasn't being booed then, but you try to force somebody like a Roman Reigns down our throat or the masses' throat, it's never going to work. You can't, it's got to be something organic, like a Punk, like a Bryan, like an AJ, like an Ambrose.
I don't even think it's a fair comparison to compare Roman Reigns to John Cena because albeit, maybe a 50-50 split on cheering and booing Cena as compared to Reigns, who gets probably like a 90% boo to 10% cheer, if that.
Did anyone see the video
Cena was cheered before he got booed, too. Roman Reigns has never been cheered.
Well, he was in the Shield
stuff, yeah.
But that was because he was extremely limited in what he did. He didn't talk a whole lot, except to say, believe that. And he was very limited in what he did in the ring. I mean, he was the muscle. He came in, gave a spear, Superman punch, triple power bomb through, any inanimate object, and that was it. Rollins and Ambrose talked, and Rollins and Ambrose carried the load.
Yeah. He was never supposed to be in this spot. And like, if you listen to the Art of Wrestling podcast, he wasn't even supposed to be in the Shield. Like, that wasn't the pick initially. It was supposed to be Hero, which would have been a fucking nightmare anyway, really. But, like, he was a last-minute pick. It's the guy that he looks the part. He's that lineage. He's that family. We're going to put him over. And so...
Make him look strong.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. It's just... That the match at hand that we're on right now made probably the least amount of sense from a storyline and booking and future aspect.
Yeah, because it had the best build. Yeah. It had the best build. And it was the worst match. It had
so much TV time. It had white hot heat, thanks to, the Paul Heyman promos. Even on the pre-show when Heyman was in the social media lounge or whatever the hell they're calling it, and he was asked what happens if Ambrose goes over. And his response was, "Oh, we're telling jokes? Okay. A rabbi, a horse, and a priest walk into a bar, and the bartender says, 'What is this, a joke?' We're not here to tell jokes. We're here to tell facts." That kind of promo, historically, means that guy goes over. Like, that's the kind of, like, this is ludicrous. This could never happen. That's the kind of build you do when the guy overcomes immense odds. It makes no sense to cut those sort of promos that they've been cutting for a month now if you have him. It just doesn't make any goddamn sense.
I think there were a lot of letdowns like that on the card. Yeah, this one had the biggest build. I would say it didn't quite have the biggest payoff. That would come a little later and didn't get paid off, but there was some build to this, and like we were talking about earlier with Styles versus Jericho, they gave that away 3 times before on free TV. So there was a build to that, but again, we had seen it before. But yeah, the booking didn't make sense. Are we ready to move on to the one bright spot of this card?
Sure. See, this is the one that I may be most angry about in retrospect.
I'm not happy about it either. Looking back on it, it stole the show, but
The finish was quite fucked. For those, again, who didn't watch, we're talking about the three-way match for the newly minted women's title between Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte. Abby was talking. Go ahead.
Lita came out during the pre-show, which was something we didn't cover, and unveiled the new women's title. No longer will it be the Divas title. No longer will these women who wrestle be divas. They are going to be women's wrestlers.
Yay.
Lita said it best. These are not divas. These are WWE superstars, even though I hate that term. They are wrestlers. So this match was for the WWE Women's Championship. Three-way match.
Gorgeous, gorgeous belt, by the way.
Oh, God, it's beautiful. It's a strong belt, but it's feminine. You know, the white, the red. It looks really good. It looks like a real wrestling title.
And it doesn't look like a butterfly, which is awesome.
It doesn't look like a My Little Pony accessory that you can get in a toy store.
Or a belt that Jeff Hardy designed for TNA.
God, that thing was awful, too. I don't know which one was worse, actually. No, but anyway, I mean, you had the entrances. You had Becky come out, and the fans just went crazy for her. You had Sasha come out giving, even though
with Snoop Dogg.
It was Snoop Dogg and whoever that other person was. But you had her with the ode to Eddie Guerrero, who was her biggest, inspiration, who just made her decide to be a wrestler. Beautiful. You had Charlotte come out with a robe that was made from Wick's quote unquote retirement robe, which we all know he didn't retire. So the pageantry was there, and then the match started, and it was a tremendous match, a great match. And then there came the fucking end of it.
Yes.
Which, to me, just cheapened the hell out of the whole damn thing. It makes me sad to watch Ric Flair these days. It really does, because I grew up watching him, and what he used to be, he's a caricature of himself now. I loved seeing Becky take him out. I thought that was just great. But then to have Ric Flair insert himself at the end of this match and hold Sasha back from getting in the ring. Sasha, of all people. Not that holding Becky back would have been any better, but Sasha.
And I think there's some symbolism to that, too, because I think by holding another wrestler back, it's very symbolic of how Ric Flair always being in the corner for Charlotte is holding Charlotte back. It's not doing any favors. It's not getting her over as a heel. It's just making her look weak, like she can't do it on her own.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, these three women were amazing in NXT, and they had some incredible matches. They had an incredible match tonight, but the shit finish, it soured me on it. It's like these three women deserved so much more than that. This should have been a clean match, no interference, clean finish.
Even if you have Charlotte go over. Yeah, even if you have Charlotte go over, which I disagree with that booking as well.
I do too.
Just giving the build going into it, you're making this out to be something monumental. Like, this is the turning point. We've moved them to a different spot on the card. We're giving them the actual spotlight. It's like Triple H said with NXT Brooklyn. We're not putting these women in the main event. These women are the main event. And to go from that and have, all this fanfare for this being, this is women's time. This is, we're not dumbing this down by calling them divas. This is, they're performers. They're superstars. To have that end in, the only shenanigan finish of the whole goddamn night in what is supposed to be a historic, monumental match is ludicrous. It absolutely, what you said, Abby, it cheapens what it was.
Yeah, I didn't like that finish. I mean, I wouldn't have as much of a problem with it, say, if Ric Flair was not at ringside and Charlotte wanted to be a heel, took out a concealed foreign object, hit somebody with it, and made a quick pin. That to me is heel heat. That I think would work. But again, by having Daddy at ringside and Daddy always taking care of you, it just it does nothing for her heel character, and it just makes her look incredibly weak.
Yep. So, out of everything, I think this is the one that I was most frustrated by, just because you're not even following what you're saying this is. Like, regardless of what storyline you're building toward, whatever, you're saying it's this, and you're giving us something else.
Good old bait and switch. But we did have my favorite spot of the night happen during this match. Charlotte had who was it? Becky Lynch locked in the figure four, and then from out of nowhere, Sasha Banks just takes off from the top turnbuckle with a frog splash right onto Charlotte. That was a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yet another, shout out to Eddie Guerrero.
Yep.
Yeah, that was paying homage to Eddie Guerrero with the frog splash. But just from the way that the camera was so tight on the figure four that was being applied to Becky that you couldn't see Sasha on the rope, she just came flying into the frame and splashed Charlotte. It was like, oh my God, where did Sasha Banks come from? And they showed the replay of it. But just seeing it in the moment as it happened with Sasha Banks coming out of nowhere with this frog splash was amazing.
Yep. And, dream booking and all, the way that this would have made sense to me, have Flair hold her back, toward the end of that match, and then just have Snoop Dogg deck Ric Flair.
Oh, God.
That's what I was expecting to happen.
That's all you need to do.
That would make perfect sense. Yeah, again, I wish the bookers had 1/10 of the ideas and creativity and sanity that you do.
I'm getting my resume together. Don't worry about it, Jason.
Hey, they're hiring writers still. We could all put in a resume. God knows we're more qualified
Harvard.
than they are. Well, neither did the people that are writing for them. They must have, graduated from the girls' school for the blind, deaf, dumb, and stupid. But, I don't know. I didn't like the finish. Part of me really wanted Becky Lynch to win because I think she would have made a nice bridge champion because she's over and, what really gets me is the crowd chants, "We want Sasha," until she's actually in the ring. And then we get stupid, boring chants or CM Punk chants or doing the wave. And it's like, you idiots are why we can't have nice things. But as over as Becky is, I think she would have made a nice bridge champion and then have her and Sasha go at it.
Yeah, I like that idea, and especially having Sasha Banks develop her heel character persona a lot more. Have Becky establish herself as the face and have Sasha Banks establish herself as a heel and play that dynamic up. And then you've got maybe, SummerSlam or even farther down the road, but you have a nice build to a heel face blow off at a pay-per-view.
Exactly, and not this triple threat or tag team mess, just an actual one-on-one women's match. Because Sasha and Becky had an incredible match in NXT. Amazing match. And I think that would have been a nice, it would have been a nice segue into really building the women's division.
Not that this match had anything taken away from it being a three-way match, but I think it's more the exception to the rule than the rule itself, because generally three-way matches for titles are clusterfucks. This one just happened to not be.
Except for Flair at the end.
Except for Flair at the end. Yeah, the match itself was worked very well.
Yes.
Although I would like to get some clarification. Cole, multiple times over in this match, said that there are no rope breaks in triple threat matches. When was that a thing?
Cole's an idiot.
But he said it a couple times, and there was that spot.
That's never been a rule. That's never been a rule.
It made no sense to me. I don't understand how their number one commentator, the guy that's, the voice of the company currently, still doesn't understand match rules.
The thing is, the only thing where a rope break...
no disqualification, but rope breaks for pinfalls or submissions is still going to be a thing.
In any match, but a no DQ match or anything goes or a street fight.
Right.
Or Hell in a Cell, I think. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, commentary was not up to snuff today. Our producer Killer Kev had pointed out at one point where JBL said in the AJ Styles match that AJ Styles isn't a 6-time world champion, and our producer Killer Kev pointed out, yeah, you're right, JBL, he's a 7-time world champion.
Well, he also said that, AJ was a flash in the pan and flavor of the month.
Just complete garbage. But yeah, the commentary was not a strong point on the show tonight.
I can't wait until Corey Graves is main roster commentary. Ugh.
That'll be great.
Just as a heel commentator, he's doing so well in NXT, and it's the kind of thing that they need right now.
Have him replace Jerry Lawler.
Oh, I'd like to see him and Ronaldo take over Raw. That would be awesome.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah.
Him and Ronaldo would be a great pairing.
Yeah, encyclopedic knowledge from one, and just that smarmy heel thing from the other. It would be It's perfect. It's it's old ECW commentary at that point. It's perfect.
It is, and like we were saying earlier, WWE tends to be about 30 years behind everything else, at least in terms of women's matches, but with commentary too. And commentary is one thing that desperately needs to evolve in WWE as well.
Yeah, I don't hate JBL, and I think he's doing his job as a heel commentator, but Cole just, I don't know how many times he can just blatantly fuck up calls until they get the picture that nobody wants to hear him anymore.
Well, since the guys in the back are feeding him the calls, they probably don't care one way or the other.
That's true.
Probably not. We can move on to the Hell in a Cell match, if you'd like. That was the one that came up next, which surprised me that this was not last on the show, because when we did our pre-show, I was told that this was going to be the last match. It made sense to have Hell in a Cell as the last match, but no, it wasn't the second to last match. It was the third to last match.
Well, even Triple H had said he wanted it to be the last match. He didn't want to go on last, but this was Vince's decision because, Reigns had to have his coronation. And what Vince wanted, Vince got tonight.
Yeah.
It was a really, really heel-heavy victory. This was not a send the fans home happy. This was piss the fans off during every match, and they sure did.
Hell in a Cell, I was honest to God glad to see that over, and glad to see that Shane just survived and didn't kill himself.
But again, it kind of begs the point, what's the point of Shane climbing, as they were saying, over 20 feet to the top of the cage to come off with an elbow that misses and lose the match? He did a high spot that was downright dangerous, but served no point as well.
Right.
The match itself was kind of ugly.
Would actually hit the spot.
It wouldn't have mattered one way or the other. That was the most unnecessary move I have seen since Mankind went off the damn cage. There was no rhyme or reason for that.
There was no reason at all to have this as Hell in a Cell. It started out I really liked the back and forth with the submission holds, but the cell part made no sense to me. You really didn't need to have Hell in a Cell.
You had Hell in a Cell so he could jump off the top of it. And here's the deal. There was a very good chance that he could have gotten paralyzed or killed or whatever. And his kids were out there.
Yeah.
I don't get the McMahons. I don't get the McMahons with shit like that. With Vince wanting an angle one time where he got Stephanie knocked up. I don't get some of the things that they think of. And okay, like here, let me let my kid climb to the top of this cage while my grandchildren are sitting in the audience, have him miss this move and a move that could kill himself. Did you see when Taker sent him through the damn cage, how his head and neck bounced off the German announce table? Did you see how hard he hit? Yeah. It was dangerous, and some of the stuff in that was just scary.
But aside from just the danger aspect of this, I do not understand what this is supposed to accomplish.
Exactly. This was what had the biggest, I don't know about the biggest buildup, but it definitely had the potential for the biggest payoff, and it had a very intriguing storyline that they kind of threw in at the last minute because they knew that Triple H versus Roman Reigns wasn't going to draw shit, so we have this semi-shoot promo that Shane cut saying, ratings are down and I'm going to make things better. I want control of the company. And it's just like, haha, fuck you guys. Shane's not getting it.
Yeah, and Shane was saying what all of the fans were feeling, or what the majority of the fans are feeling, what wrestling news sites are saying, podcasts are saying, social media is saying. And I think this might have been Vince's biggest fuck you, saying, I still know best and I'm going to do what I want to do.
And I think, so there's this weird thing that came out where they showed, I saw some pictures of the new toy line, and on the back, it has people split up by brand again. Like, there were SmackDown-specific superstars and Raw-specific superstars. So, this could be another one of those cases where Vince just goes, okay, they're expecting it, I guess we gotta do the opposite.
So they were also promoting a WWE Raw versus the World for some Raw in May or June.
Yeah, and a lot of house shows were being advertised like that too.
And again, I really don't trust the McMahons with a brand split, because especially with Vince, who's just going to randomly put wrestlers on one show or the other, as opposed to actually making one show different from the other. And we talked about that on the AMP a few weeks ago where, yeah, if you want to have, tag teams on, say, SmackDown, that would be fine, or have all your cruiserweights on SmackDown, that's fine. You can still have a heavyweight division, but if you're going to do a brand split, just splitting the roster up higgledy-piggledy makes no sense. But if you're going to have certain style of wrestling on one show and a certain style on another show, that is the way to do it.
Right. Have Raw be your sports entertainment show. Have SmackDown be your wrestling show. Have SmackDown be where the NXT guys get called up to. Have it be something different. But now probably none of that's going to happen because it doesn't make sense now. B, there's really not enough guys on the roster right now with a third of them being out injured. So it's kind of like, what's the point to that? I have a feeling it might have just been Vince changing his mind at the last minute, or Shane deciding when he got there and saw what a clusterfuck the company was, saying, oh, hell no, I'm going back to China.
I don't want any part of this.
I don't want any part of this bullshit. This family, there's a reason I left to begin with, and it's the reason I'm not sticking around this time.
Although, yeah, I mean, I think if that were the case, he wouldn't have taken that 20-foot jump off of the cage in this match. But, yeah, this was just a huge angle that everyone thought was going to pay off, and then it didn't. And it was just so pointless. The whole jump off the cage was pointless. Having the match in a cage itself was pointless.
Yeah, it could have just been a straight up, even if you want to make it, no holds barred. If you, at that point, you think you can just out wrestle him? Fine, whatever. We'll make it no holds barred. And you can still get the coast to coast spot. You can still get, some of the table spots and stuff like that. But, you don't intentionally get a device where Shane could die. It just doesn't, from any sort of aspect, it doesn't make sense.
It added nothing to the match.
God damn it.
That jump off the top of the cage added nothing to the match whatsoever.
Right.
And I think it was kind of, given away a couple of weeks ago when Vince said if Taker loses, it's his last match. I think we all kind of knew then that Shane wasn't going to win.
But because I wasn't convinced by that. Because really, how many more matches does he need to be in?
Taker's not going to go out wrestling the boss's son.
You're right. Not in a clean match.
No.
If it were just straight up, this is the match that out of everything, I expected there to be some sort of interference. And because they weren't booked on anything, including the fucking Battle Royal, which I didn't know going into it, you have the Wyatts interfere, and you build to something. Or you have Kane interfere, and you build to something. An actual legitimate retirement match at SummerSlam or Survivor Series or whatever, and then you induct Undertaker the next year.
Or even better, you have Anderson and Gallows interfere.
Yeah, come in to help Shane. But they didn't go that route. Once again, it was something extremely predictable. There were no surprises on this show.
Oh, there were surprises, like Zack Ryder winning the IC title and Battle Royal that we'll talk about next. But yeah, there were no pleasant surprises, I guess is the way to put it.
No. And there's a million ways it could have justified this being Taker's last Mania. Because the stakes aren't as high. The streak is dead. They made it noted on Raw with a promo with Shane that the streak is dead. The legacy part of this is over. Taker's career is nearly over. This wouldn't have been the full send-off. This just would have been the Mania send-off. And then you build to something and have an actual retirement match against somebody who it would make sense to do. And I wrote this out on Facebook a couple weeks ago where, say, Kane interferes. The logic behind that is after Survivor Series, Taker went off into the sunset for a while and left Kane on his own to deal with the Wyatts. So there would be that built-in, resentment factor. He costs Taker the match. Shane wins, which would have been interference, but not by his design. And then you have Kane go against Undertaker at a future pay-per-view with something with years and years and years of storyline, culminate at that and have that be Taker's last match.
Yeah, but see, something like that makes sense. And
I know.
We're talking WWE, and they don't make sense.
Speaking of not making sense, should we talk about that clusterfuck of a Battle Royal?
It wasn't that bad.
It was a Raw Battle Royal. A SmackDown Battle Royal. The only thing that pissed me off was that Baron Corbin won.
Okay, I've got to jump in. I've got to jump in here. Quado won this battle royal.
What?
You mentioned earlier in our online discussions about how you couldn't stand Baron Corbin and specifically the face on. It was Quado. It was Quado.
The sad face abdomen. Yes, I can never unsee that.
And now I can never unsee it either. Thank you so much.
Hey, that's payback for all the damn sunny side up bullshit from you.
Oh, I'd rather watch 5 hours of Sunny Side Up than WrestleMania 32.
Yeah. Cena and Yujiro going at it. I still got that mental image in my head.
Lovely. But yeah, Baron Corbin.
But I'm thrilled with Baron Corbin winning. I see a lot of potential in Baron Corbin. He's been booked not fantastically in NXT, but he's a big guy that can wrestle. He's got real legitimate moves. He's got a great character. I think this is somebody that on the main roster could be that, monster-like heel that maybe he doesn't win all the time, but he's imposing.
To me, he's like watching paint dry. I just don't see it.
Oh my God, the End of Days is such a good move.
Well, the move is fine, but the only thing, and this is just me being snarky and sarcastic because, hey, that's me. The only thing I can see in a Baron Corbin match is the receding hairline and the sad face on his stomach. I can't get past those things. And
all you're doing
honestly,
is being Vince and saying, this guy doesn't look the part.
No.
That's what you're doing.
No. I mean, when I first saw him in NXT, maybe that's it. Maybe that first impression stuck with me because there wasn't really anything. He didn't have a defined character. His entrance was okay, but other than that, he didn't really talk. He didn't really do that much in the ring. It was just he was kind of there, and I don't think I've been able to get past that first impression.
I think I agree that his first impression was not fantastic, but the way they were booking him about like 7 or 8 months ago, where it'd be like the 30-second matches, even in some cases like 15-second matches, where he'd just come in, dominate, and leave. That's the kind of thing that we don't see a whole lot of anymore, and what the main roster could do a lot with. There's a ton of guys there that aren't going to win matches. There's a whole fucking stable of them in the Social Outcasts. And that's the kind of thing you put up against him. Have him just ruin Heath Slater, ruin, Rose.
I can get behind that.
Oh yeah. But that's how you book that kind of thing. The way they were booking him with just the random NXT jobbers, you could do that and have it be like a legitimate program and then have him go up against Zack Ryder.
Yeah, but here's my one concern. There's been nobody that has come up from NXT except Owens so far that has not been treated shittily on the main roster. So, I mean, I will agree with you that Corbin has improved greatly and NXT did him a lot of good. Breaking ground did him a lot of good. Giving him time to talk. What?
I will submit Rollins is another exception.
Rollins was more FCW than NXT. Yeah, he was the first NXT champion, but he wasn't there in NXT proper as long as he was in FCW. I look at Rollins and Ambrose and Reigns as FCW more than NXT. I mean, I'll give you Rollins was good, but I mean, the guys like Neville, who was huge in NXT, Bo Dallas, huge in NXT, The Ascension, huge, Tyler Breeze, huge, and now we've got Sami Zayn coming up. God, please don't destroy him. You've got Kevin Owens there that he and Zayn can do something amazing now. And bringing, Charlotte and Sasha and Becky have been treated very well, shockingly enough. But, I mean, you're bringing Corbin up. Yeah, he's a big guy, and Vince, jacks off to big guys pretty much in the back every damn show because he loves them so much. But, God, I mean, are you going to bring him up just to put him on Superstars and main event?
Yeah.
It scares me to death thinking about when Finn Balor is called up because he's a damn superstar. Or Bayley.
Well,
and it's like, you've treated 90% of these call-ups like jobbers. What's the point?
When we finish with the matches, I kind of do want to a little bit get into the speculation of who may appear on Raw tomorrow, but I will say that Baron Corbin was not who I expected to even be in the match, much less win it.
I didn't even know he was in the match till like halfway through.
He didn't get an entrance. Like he was, just in the ring.
Shaquille O'Neal got a
honestly-
damn entrance.
Yeah, let's not go there.
DDP got an entrance.
The person that I expected to show up and win as kind of a wild card would be Samoa Joe. I think from a lot of different aspects that would have been, from a logic standpoint, the guy to do it. But
Yeah, but has Joe actually signed an exclusive contract yet?
Yeah.
Or is he still working under the I've got independent dates that I need to fill contract?
Nope, this is legit. It's not the Gargano Ciampa thing.
Oh, so he finished out the I'm still working indie dates part of the whole deal.
He canceled a lot of them.
Oh, okay. Well, see, I was just making sure because last I heard about a month ago, he was still not exclusive to NXT and WWE.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, he's completely exclusive to them.
Okay, well then that would have made sense, especially after Takeover, because what the hell else is Joe going to do down there?
Right. That's exactly what I thought. As soon as he lost for the second time, I'm like, well, what else are they going to do with him in NXT? This would be the time to move him. But it's not what happened. I'm not upset by Baron Corbin winning. I want to see what they'll end up doing with him on main roster, but
well, considering everybody else that was in that match, Corbin does make the most sense. Now it's just let's see what they do with him.
As my second choice, I really wanted to see Cesaro come back.
Oh God, I miss him so much.
Yeah, and I think he was cleared. Like he was spotted without any sort of sling or anything. He'd been doing all of that PR work for them in Europe. I thought that would be a nice way to bring him back, but again,
well, they're bringing him back on the European tour, aren't they? He's back in action on the European tour.
Yeah, so I thought this would be a good re-entry point for him, but what the fuck?
Maybe he'll come back tomorrow night. Who knows?
Maybe tomorrow night will be just as big of a fuck you from Vince McMahon to everybody.
It's going to be a lot of great UK chants. That's the only thing I know for certain.
But yeah, we'll move on from the Battle Royal, and after that we had The Rock show up with a flamethrower.
Yeah, like I dare y'all to boo Roman Reigns now.
Yeah.
And
Lord,
boy, I was missing those days of the Die Rocky Die chants, I tell you what.
Oh my God, yeah.
That was the most pointless thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'll say this, I saw him come out and do the attendance, the inflated fake attendance, and I took the dog for a walk for 20 minutes and came back in, and it was still going on.
Yep. So the really shortened version of this, because I'm sure none of us really want to dwell on this. As it was mentioned, Rock came out, did the inflated attendance, and then Wyatt's hit the ring. And Bray, as always, cuts a stellar promo against The Rock about how he's going to eviscerate him, and, he's this ideal that needs to be destroyed, and Rock, in very recent Rock fashion, takes the mic, cuts just the weirdest promo, messing up words left and right.
He was stoned again?
Yeah. It was.
Must have been hanging out with Snoop in the back.
Well, he did say that Bray had been
something
hitting
about
the ball.
drug tests.
So,
Yeah, he did say that, Bray had hit the bong and something about Waffle Houses.
Yeah, and how Rowan was inbred and something weird about Braun Strowman breastfeeding until he was 26 or some nonsense. Or
no, he started breastfeeding at
me,
age 26 is what he said.
Yeah,
he botched that
right.
line.
He fucked that up. But if you couldn't tell, I mean, I think everybody understood that dude was wearing his boots. Like, I think everybody expected Rock to, as soon as he got out there, like, okay, he's gonna rumble with somebody. But
why did it have to be the Wyatts?
Fucking 6-second match with Eric Rowan. 6 seconds. A new record for WrestleMania. Hooray.
And it was a complete waste of time.
And once again, these are the guys that are supposed to be the future of the company, getting shit on and beat the hell down verbally and physically by a guy that shows up once a year.
Yep. And then Wyatt's go to attack him as a group.
And then hell comes back.
To the boos of most of the crowd there, as this is not,
not Roman Reigns yet.
No, it was.
He didn't get Roman Reigns level boos, but yeah,
it was close.
It was pretty fucking close. Well, you know what? They're too big chanting John Cena sucks to actually boo him, so I guess you're right. But yeah, John Cena makes his triumphant return.
Couldn't he stay gone? I really wanted a Cena-free weekend.
His frustration level at the Hall of Fame ceremony was kind of... I felt a little bit bad for him. Like, he leaned over and said to, I think it was Austin, he goes, why can't these people make up their mind? Like, audibly, during the Hall of Fame ceremony. I felt really bad for him.
I don't feel bad for him. He's brought it on himself.
It's booking, but yeah.
No, this is a man who has not evolved in a decade. Think about it. The only thing that has changed about this man is the color of those fucking T-shirts.
Yep.
That's it. Everything else is the same.
I will say, I did find it a little strange that he's the only person that didn't have new gear for this.
It's John Cena. What the hell is he going to wear?
Yeah, just, some new colorway. It was just the same one from when he got injured. I thought that was very weird.
He's used every color in the Technicolor rainbow. He'd have to invent a new color.
Inventing colors, yeah.
I mean, unless he came out in lavender or pastel pink or maybe a nice sage, fuchsia.
It's not.
That'd be an interesting gimmick for him.
Yeah, real men wear lavender.
Gorgeous Johnny Cena.
Oh, my God.
I like it. It's a way to evolve. But
yeah, we move on from all that crap that went down, and we get to see Stephanie McMahon come out as a dominatrix in front of a Titantron of Cenobites. That was interesting.
Oh, God.
Okay.
All she needed was a whip.
I absolutely love this entrance. Not as good as New Day, but it was very fucking interesting.
Didn't Trips almost fall?
Yes.
Yeah,
he tripped over his own feet as he was coming out to the ring. That was funny. I wish he would have fallen on his ass. That would have been amusing.
Stephanie did everything she could in that promo to get them to just get the fans to hate her. And they do hate her, but they didn't hate Triple H because he got massive cheers.
Yep.
And that's only because he's facing the Samoan Cena.
No, he's the walking hair product commercial. I don't even put him at the Samoan Cena. He's a walking shampoo commercial.
I mean, I think if you had Triple H in there, like you did a couple weeks ago with Dean Ambrose, it's going to be Ambrose getting cheered and not Triple H. The only reason Triple H is getting cheered is because he's in there
of Roman
Reigns.
Yep.
And the pacing on this match was extremely weird.
It was very slow. Oh my God, was it slow?
It was slow and kind of sporadic and weird places for submission holds and
and muting the crowd.
The Barbarian ass kicker doing more rest holds and weird locks that you never see him do than in any other match.
I knew for a fact that Reigns was not going to get cheered at all when he did that whole Superman punch thing on the stage and caused the pyro to go up all around the building and all the flames to come up. Yeah, if they weren't going to cheer him after that, they weren't going to cheer him at all. Although they did cheer him one time.
Oh yeah, when he speared Stephanie.
When he speared when he speared her, he got cheered for like 30 seconds.
I was expecting the ref to take that bump and not Steph.
I thought the ref was going to take the bump, but then when Trips got up holding the ref, I realized he's going to push the ref one way, he's going to fall the other way, and Steph's just going to get smashed.
Yeah, as soon as she walked in the ring, I knew she was taking the bump.
I didn't expect her to take that bump, though.
I mean,
she's got balls, I'll give her that.
Yeah, you could see it in her hot pants. But yeah, it's whatever. This is the only match that I called as far as the outcome. I don't think you can walk away with Triple H winning just because of how they booked everything else, how they've been booking Roman in general. Like, they want him to be the face.
Now?
Who does Roman face now?
Something's going to happen, and there's going to have to be a heel turn somewhere. Either he's going to have to turn, or Ambrose turns.
Here's the thing.
Bray Wyatt facing him again, but Bray's hurt. So
they can't wrestle a match together. They don't have chemistry at all. It's just ugly when they get in the ring.
Here's again, dream booking, and I was convinced this was going to be the case. Rollins was cleared.
Now, if Rollins comes back tomorrow night, he's coming back as a mega face. There you go, right there. It's set.
But I
How
don't
about Ambrose?
I like Ambrose too.
I do too, but he fucking lost. They killed his heat. So what the fuck's the point?
Roman turn on him tomorrow night.
Well, the thing is, that could be the catalyst for him turning.
But here's what I saw happening. Rollins got cleared. Triple H loses. Rollins never lost the title in a match. So all that had to happen, and it would have washed over everything else that happened in the night, practically. Triple H loses. Stephanie or Trips takes the mic, says, okay, you won. Congratulations. Guess who you're fighting now? And you have a 45-second match. Rollins saves WrestleMania again, walks out with the title.
Eh.
I don't know about that.
I don't either. I think that might be...
As a champion.
I think that might be a little bit too repetitive and a little bit too soon. Because it kind of reeks of desperation, again, of them trying to make Rollins this underdog to try to get him over. And Reigns to get him over. And Rollins, there's no way he can come back as a heel. There really isn't. It doesn't make sense.
Still has a person in the authority, though. Like, they haven't cut that cord. It still, from a storyline perspective, makes sense that he's still the company guy.
Yeah, but from the injury standpoint and how the injury happened and the fans' reaction to the injury, it's not going to work because he's going to come back to, roof-raising cheers.
Yeah, but him walking out, even I get that it's a repeat kind of thing from last year's Mania. He would have gotten a fantastic response, and it would have been vastly preferable to Roman as champ. Roman doesn't do well as a champ. Roman arguably works all right in the chase, but it's not like the Daniel Bryan thing where it's like, they're holding me back because of who I am, how I look, whatever. B+ player thing.
Yeah,
this is just suck. It's not perfect, but it at least would have.
They've tried everything to get him over. They have rehashed the Bryan storyline. They rehashed the Stone Cold storyline, him against the Authority, him the underdog, him being held back. He's not going to get over. He needs a complete reboot.
But at least
he needs to be taken off television for a while, kept away, don't let the fans see him, bring him back, repackage him, have him be a heel, and then he might be able to get over.
Have him be the Batista type heel. And when I say that, not this, I'm saying the slick suit wearing, sunglass wearing, smooth talking, which he can do if you listen to him in interviews that aren't scripted for him by WWE. He can do that. Let him be himself. He's a cocky son of a bitch. Let him be that. Let him be that old school styling and profiling kind of deal in a suit, sunglasses, hair in a ponytail, heel. No redeeming qualities. I hate the fans because you never accepted me. Well, guess what? Screw you.
No, that's perfect.
I'm not siding with the Authority because they screwed me over too. I don't have any use for them. I'm not siding with anybody else. If the catchphrase is one versus all, have him be that heel that is one versus all.
Unfortunately, the problem is I have a feeling too many fans might like that.
Not if it's played right, I don't think. Now, do I think that will ever happen? No, because Vince is hell-bent on him being the face of the company. But that is the only way he's going to get over as a face, is if he has a successful heel run first.
Yep.
And I do
kind of like Rocky, but in a whole different heel persona than Rocky.
And I did want to give a big shout out to the fans in this match who got themselves muted for how loudly they were booing Roman Reigns, for doing the Sami Zayn chant, for doing Bayley's chant, and for chanting Nakamura during the middle of this match. Way to go, fans who were live in attendance. That was amazing.
And of course, the reports were coming in from actually the beginning of the match that it started out fans are leaving, and then fans are streaming out of the building. So I don't know. I'll say this. The two guys in the ring did not deserve the fan reaction that they got because it's not their fault. It's not Reigns' fault. It's the booking.
Yep.
They went out there and they did the best they could, and Reigns gave it his all. It's not his fault that he's been put in this position, but with his lineage and with his everything that supposedly he's got going for him in the back, he needs to grow a pair and say, this isn't working, we need to try something else. Because I think he's one of the few people in the company that could do that and get away with it.
Yeah. And for all it's worth, it wasn't a terrible match for what
It was.
Roman, for what Roman is capable of, it wasn't terrible. It meant that Triple H had to carry him through most of it, which he did an admirable job of. But you're talking about a guy that only wrestles, twice a year, give or take. Like, this is the exception with the, kind of the refresher match for Triple H on Roadblock, but he doesn't wrestle very often. He's out of practice. He looks phenomenal. He's in ridiculous shape, but he's not, there's some ring rust. And to have that be the main event, which, like we said, Triple H kind of campaigned against, they did the best they could with what they had at their disposal.
And that's another problem with Reigns. If you really watch his matches, most of them, people have to carry him in the matches. And I think it was a mistake a couple of years ago to break up the Shield as soon as they did, because Reigns, if he was going to be put in this position, could really have benefited from having 6 more months, 8 more months with Seth Rollins and with Dean Ambrose and getting more of that green off of him before he went into this role he's in now.
Or even if you have, a role reversal when they did do the breakup and have Roman be the guy that turns on them, I think that would have made, a little bit more sense. Like, just have him be a bruiser that the, limited moveset, he's just going to punch you a couple times, but have that be kind of, a authority-backed champion or whatever, where it's just, we're going to do whatever we can to keep him out of matches cleanly, but he's going to punch you in the face when he has the opportunity and then walk away with the title.
Or just make him that monster, make him that smash mouth monster heel that goes out there and just destroys people hard, fast, and quick.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think WWE's dropped the ball and he's in danger of becoming, Diesel, or he's in danger of becoming Lex Luger. And it's like he's literally 1 or 2 steps away from being unredeemable in the eyes of the fans and maybe even the company itself.
Yep.
And the harder Vince pushes, the more it's going to alienate the fans, the more they're going to boo him, and the further down that road Roman Reigns is going to go.
Yeah, and it's bad for him, and it's not fair to him because he's doing the best he can with what he's being given.
He's doing what he's told, yeah. I mean, like you were saying, it's not his fault that he's being booked in the shittiest way possible.
But it is his fault with knowing the power he has and the reputation he has and the family ties he has, because he ain't going to get fired. It is his fault for not stepping up and saying, hey, this isn't working. Can we try something else?
Absolutely. Like, how much can you really take of being booed? Like, Cena has done a very good job taking it on the chin because he knows he still sells merchandise and he knows he's still over with kids. Roman isn't over with almost anybody. He's not selling the merchandise that Cena's selling. He's not getting, like, even an ironic, cheer.
Did you see that interview that he did earlier this week? Or did you read about it? The one that he did where he said, the kids show where he said, I don't care about being booed by, grown men. WWE is a kids show.
Yeah. And I think, why you would strap that dude anyway is fucking ludicrous. Like, you're basically just bad mouthing the product at that point.
Yeah. And saying stuff like that. I mean, he's got a handler there that is monitoring what he says, especially for print interviews. And for them to have him say something like that, it's like he's tone deaf. The company's tone deaf. It just makes him look that much worse every time he does something like that.
I think by the results of the pay-per-view that we saw tonight, it's a given that the WWE booking committee and management is certainly tone deaf.
Yeah, and I know that Triple H is not thrilled with any of this. Like, I know, just given the track record of what's going on with NXT and how proud he is of the product and
or maybe he's really happy with all of this.
Well, I did make a joke at one point tonight on Facebook just saying, I understand now, Triple H bombed the whole thing so that NXT looks that much better.
I don't know. I mean, knowing Triple H and knowing how passionate he is about the business, well, I can't see him being happy with the main roster stuff.
No.
But I mean, it's his father-in-law. What is he literally gonna do? The only thing he can do is make NXT as great as it can be and keep saying or showing Vince, hey, this is what we should be doing. I don't have to say it to your face, but by God, I'll show it to you week in and week out.
And yeah, Takeover Dallas, just by leaps and bounds, eclipsed what WrestleMania 32 was. Takeover Dallas is, in my mind right now, the number 2 show that has been put on in 2016, just slightly behind Wrestle Kingdom 10.
The only thing that pissed me off about TakeOver, when they first put Nakamura's bio up on WWE.com, it had all the pertinent information. It had finisher Bomba-Ye. And then to have them say what is it, Kinshasa is what it is now?
Is that what they're calling it? I just call it the Bomba-Ye.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be for us the Bomba-Ye. I mean, I'm even wearing the Bomba-Ye t-shirt right now. But, yes, now called the Kinshasa, which when, who was it, Ian Huto on Twitter explained it all, it made sense to me then. But, yeah, when they did it, it was like, are you joking? Twitter just went nuts. It's like, really?
Bomba-Ye greater than Kinshasa.
Yes, yes. But, it's like, really, you're taking that away from him? It's like, at least you gave him an epic theme song, which I just love.
Oh, God, it's so good.
It is so great.
They let him be Nakamura, the Nakamura that we know and love from Japan, and they didn't water him down. That was the biggest surprise to me in TakeOver Dallas.
Oh, I know. All the moves were there. The swag Suki was there. Swag. Did I just say swag Suki? I cannot believe that. Swagsuke was there. The entrance, the character, all of it. It was like, this is our Shinsuke Nakamura. This is the guy we know and love. This is our king of strong style. Because I was so worried we were going to get in there and it was going to be, but, everything except renaming the Bomba-Ye, it was just flawless. The entire match was flawless. Even the busted nose was great.
I was a little bit worried because I'd seen some reports that they were going to be just shortening it to Nakamura and doing, the same thing they did with Cesaro and the same thing they did with Langston, where it was just going to be like a single name thing, but they did introduce him as Shinsuke. They did, give him the full name, so I was very, very happy about that.
I think probably when he hits the main roster, they'll do the whole Nakamura thing. He said that he had, petitioned to just do Nakamura because it was quicker and easier to pronounce, but they decided to keep the whole name, so.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping they don't call him up. There's no rush to call him up to the main roster, Vince. You can leave him down in NXT as long as you want.
Yeah, but just think if he had had the Money in the Bank briefcase and had come down during the main event tonight. Just imagine for a minute.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but no, keep him in NXT for a good long time and, let him and Balor go at it. Let him and Joe go at it,
Him and Aries.
Him and Aries, yes, definitely.
Oh, my God, Aries would be fantastic.
I'm honestly, though, surprised they let him keep the Bomba-Ye, the Kinshasa, whatever they're calling it, with all the concussion deal and all that mess. I thought for sure if they're going to ban the curb stomp, they might not be okay with him using that running knee. But how many times did he hit the variation on it on Sammy? Wasn't it like 8 or 9?
If you count the one where he drapes Sammy across the 2 top ropes in the corner and comes with that, backflip and then the running charging knee. Yeah, there was.
Well, that's a variation,
That's another variation of it. Yep.
But, so like I brought up earlier, who do we think shows up on Raw tomorrow?
Cesaro.
It'll be interesting. I would love to see Cesaro come back. We already know dumbass Cena's going to be there.
Yeah. For return, Cesaro is pretty likely. Rollins may be a possibility. But
Anderson and Gallows are due to be at the tapings this week, so hopefully we'll get them.
It would be nice, but I hope they have a story and some ideas in mind for Anderson and Gallows instead of just throwing them in there, which would be quite literally throwing them to the wolves.
Yeah, but they are scheduled to be at the tapings this week, so either they're there to get their feet wet and kind of see what's going on for a little bit and hopefully come up with something for them, or they are just literally going to throw them in the deep end when people don't really know them. They know Festus, but, they're really not too familiar with, Carl Anderson.
Well, even Doc Gallows doesn't look like he did. He's in a lot better shape than when he was Festus.
Well, you got to remember what Festus looked like. He kind of looked like a
fat sack of shit.
He kind of looked like Braun Strowman, only without a facial expression.
And a bad haircut.
Yeah.
But, people will still remember the Straight Edge Society stuff where he was just Luke Gallows, so I'm hoping they don't just harken back to simply Festus.
I'm still kind of hoping they go down to NXT, or else this whole Balor Club thing is going to make no sense.
Unless Finn Balor is one of the guys that comes up on Raw, but
yeah, but then Balor would be pulling double duty,
like Sami Zayn is.
No, Sammy's already filmed his Gone Away thing. I think that's going to be airing on Wednesdays.
Okay.
NXT is his going away deal.
Yeah, when he lost to
Bayley
this guy.
Who?
Yeah, I think Bayley could show up. I think Bayley could. She's ready. There's no other reason now that she lost her title to keep her on NXT.
Except for the inevitable rematch.
Which that'll happen at whatever revival, but they'll do the same thing that they did with Sasha in that case.
Yeah, now we're going to have the female John Cena.
You think we might see Joe on the main roster on Monday, tomorrow?
That'd be nice.
I'd love to.
You don't think we're going to see a Joe?
I think we might get him and Nakamura first.
I'd like to see that too.
I don't know. Raws after WrestleMania are always probably the best Raws of the year, simply with the fans and all. That makes it the best Raw.
Yeah,
but it'll definitely be it. Well, I don't mean in terms of what WWE does. I mean in terms of how the fans react to it.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to say the least, especially after tonight, because they can either rectify a lot of what happened tonight, or they can either keep digging the hole.
Something tells me they're going to keep digging the hole, but that's just me being pessimistic on WWE like I often am.
I'm hoping that they figure out a way that Shane still somehow gets control regardless of losing. Like some sort of, lawyers get involved sort of storyline or some kind of something. Like Linda.
Or we find out what's in the lockbox.
Yeah, they never did pay that off. That is kind of an open end there, isn't it?
Yeah, we see Shane come out limping tomorrow with a lockbox in his hands. Like, Dad, either you give me control of this company or I'm going to open this box on national television.
Yep. So, we'll see.
Or have Linda come out there and do something.
Yeah. She was at the Hall of Fame, so why not?
Although, yeah, wasn't one of the stipulations if Shane lost, he had to give Vince that box? That could be a nice setup, saying he's going to give him the box, but then open the box.
Yeah, why not?
It's WWE. They're not good with consistency. We'll never hear about that lockbox again.
That was what do you call it, a MacGuffin.
But
that's a nice red herring they brought up.
So if we had to give grades to WrestleMania tonight, what would everybody's grade be?
F.
Yeah. Whatever would be below 31.
That's interesting. I'd say like a D.
A D as in dog?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay, I thought you said B to begin with, and I was like, oh, no. I would say somewhere between a D minus and an F.
Yeah, it had its high points, and I think we did an okay job of kind of pointing out what was positive about the show, but overall...
Yeah, we didn't trash everything.
Yeah.
And just to jump in here, I would actually be a little bit more positive on it, and I would give it a solid C. And the main reason I say that is, despite coming into this with an injured roster, most of the matches were not bad, and most of the matches featured good wrestling. I think what killed a lot of this was just bad writing, bad storylines, and the fact that due to a lot of the injuries, the company didn't have a lot of time to build a lot of things up. I think they were kind of handicapped in some ways. But at the same time, there's a lot of the program on here that had been booked for a long time, and they continued on course. And even though it wasn't proving popular with fans, they still stuck to it anyway. And in the end, I think it kind of hurt them.
When you say that about injuries, most of the injuries happened before the Royal Rumble. So it's not like it was they happened in the last month, and the whole show had to be rewritten.
And there were angles and storylines that were built up that were promising to pay off and then didn't.
Yeah. Gun to my head, if I had to pick a real positive coming out of tonight, it's that Luke Harper didn't have to deal with that nonsense with The Rock, because it would have been him that lost in a 6-second match, and I fucking love Luke Harper.
I do too. He is the best out of all of those guys. I've been a fan of him since he was Brody Lee. He deserves a lot better than what he gets. He's one of those guys that could be a monster heel because he's just that good and he can talk. Not that he gets a chance to all the time, but he can talk.
Yes. So keeping him out of that whole debacle was nice, at least, I guess.
I mean, the women's match was great except for the ending.
I think that's pretty much all of them. Like, there was a lot of really solid ring work from a lot of people that we know can do solid ring work, but just fucking weird booking ideas for finishes.
Yeah, the shit finishes didn't do anything, and it kind of soured the matches. And I think it'll probably make people forget, how good that triple threat for the women's championship was. How good some of the stuff in the Intercontinental match, especially the stuff with Zayn and Owens and some of the crazy ass spots that both of them did, how great those were. And some of the spots in the Shane Taker match, some of the, actual submission holds and, close calls in that match, that dumbass, unnecessary, let me kill myself, jump off the top of the cell. That's what people are going to remember, not some of the better points of the match.
I think a lot of people are going to remember all the fuck finishes because it was everything was a fuck finish or a finish that the fans didn't want to see. And yeah, I mean, usually WrestleMania is your feel good go home show, but there was really no feel good go home winners on the card.
No, because you had shit finishes or dusty finishes or, just stuff that didn't make sense. And it really felt like this was Vince saying, haha, fuck you. People are not going to like the AJ Jericho match because of how it was booked. Two great stars, even though Jericho's lost a step, two great guys in that ring, but because of how they booked it, people are pissed at how AJ was treated. So here you have a really good match, but people hated it because of how it was booked.
And then you have really shit matches like the 6-man tag.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention to that.
That was pretty bad. I guess again, my positive that I take away, like Abby said, the women's match was fantastic. But yeah, that was one positive, and another positive I take away was definitely the Nakamura chant during the main event. These fans are fucking awesome.
Well, that had nothing to do with the show itself. That had that was just the fans saying, this is what we really want.
Exactly, and it was the fans being given this shitty booking main event match that shouldn't have been a main event match, and the fans just retaliating by chanting what they wanted to see, and that was Nakamura, and that was awesome. I mean, it did happen during the show. Granted, it wasn't a booked part of the show, but it was part of the show, and it was a huge positive in my mind. It was like, this whole entire downer of a show, and then during the main event, we get this Nakamura, and finally a smile comes to my face. I'm like, did I just hear them chant Nakamura? This is awesome.
I would love for the fans, since the vocal majority seems to be, extremely smart about the business. I would love for a chant to be booking sucks.
There you go.
Just start that during a whole damn show and just keep it up and let them know, hey, we're not bored with the people in the ring. We're not disrespecting the people in the ring by starting a CM Punk chant or this is boring chant. We're not mad at the wrestlers. We're mad at the booking.
Maybe that's the next logical step to take.
God, I hope so.
So yeah, any people who are going to WWE Raw coming up and listening to this podcast, get that chant going when you're at Raw. Booking sucks. Booking sucks. Any final thoughts? We'll go round table. Any final thoughts you have on WrestleMania 32, TakeOver Dallas, or the WWE in general? Let's start with you, Mike.
WrestleMania 32 probably could have been a much better show, but I haven't seen TakeOver yet. I wasn't home this weekend, so I didn't get a chance to see it.
Oh, you owe it to yourself to watch that. That will make your weekend. That will make your Monday then, because it is quite awesome.
I'm almost envious.
Baron Corbin.
I'm almost envious though of Mike because I wish I would have watched TakeOver after Mania at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I knew going in, I knew TakeOver was going to be better than WrestleMania. I just didn't know by what magnitude it would be better and by how many leaps and bounds it would be better. And it clearly outshined WrestleMania 32 on several order of magnitudes.
Yeah, 5 matches that were significantly better than 11 matches.
TakeOver was the WrestleMania for wrestling fans. For real wrestling fans, that was our WrestleMania.
Very well put.
I agree.
It was
looking
great.
forward to that one.
TakeOver was great. It kind of It didn't really offset what Mania was tonight because nothing can offset that, not even the amount of liquor I consumed. Not even the scathing feature article I wrote about how AJ lost and why it was a big, middle finger to everybody. But it wasn't a good show. Vince, I think, has no clue what he's doing anymore. The talent deserves better. Fans deserve better. And hopefully sooner rather than later, they will actually get their heads out of their asses and start paying attention to what they should be doing instead of what tickles Vince's fancy.
Yeah, I guess on my final thought then too is just how much longer can the WWE continue to book this way before the fans start turning off the television and stop buying tickets to live events?
Well, the thing is, they're focused on casual fans, the families that just want something to do on the weekends, or casual folks that are flipping through the channels and land on Raw. They're not booking for wrestling fans because they're not a wrestling company. They are a television show about wrestling. Maybe.
But they do film on Monday nights, which is not a weekend, which, does require a bit of a hardcore type fan to go and want to see. And what happens when you have alienated enough of that fan base that you're clearly dealing with lots of empty seats for Raw tapings?
I don't know. Maybe someday soon we'll find out.
We'll see. That's kind of my final thought there. Did you want to?
People were leaving in droves during the main event tonight. Maybe that'll tell them something, although it's not the first time that's happened.
Had you wanted to jump in on something there, Dan?
Well, just with that thought, we're going to keep coming back. It took a lot for me to stop watching wrestling at one point. And, time was a factor. And there were so many outlets, like the independent stuff. I mean, where I'm at, I've got Ring of Honor and I've got Evolve, within a relative driving distance, and Chikara and Excellence Pro. There are a lot of different outlets, but I'm at the point now where, these people that I either have known personally or have watched come up from, their first couple of years. It was announced today that, Lince Dorado is going to be part of this cruiserweight thing. And that's amazing. He was trained by the Wrestle Factory, which is a stone's throw from where I'm at. That kind of thing still brings me back to the WWE every time because it's the game. It's the biggest one. And yeah, it's frustrating. Every time they do this kind of event, it's frustrating. To see the guys that should be getting over, not getting over, it's frustrating. But there's that glimmer of hope that, this person's going to get their due, like Daniel Bryan did. And the eternal optimist in me just wants that to happen again for a lot of these guys. And it may not happen, but you got to hold out some sort of hope.
I think I made that point last Thursday. It's we don't watch WWE because of WWE. We watch WWE because we have these handfuls of talent that we've been fans of for so long. And we've watched them grow and we've watched them develop, and we're invested in them as people and as wrestlers. These people that do this because they love it and it's their dream. We tune in to see them and cheer for them and hope to God that someday that Vince and WWE as a whole realizes what they have and uses them properly, uses them how they deserve to be used. And that's why so many of us keep tuning in. Not because we like the product, not because we like Roman Reigns or John Cena or just love WWE, but because we watch these guys like Ambrose, Jon Moxley, Seth Rollins, Tyler Black, Luke Harper, Bray Wyatt. We've watched these guys come up and develop. Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, this is their dream and they finally realized it. We don't watch it because WWE gives us a good product. We watch it because we admire and respect these men and women who have given us something to invest in them as people.
Right.
And for me, that's what it boils down to. Otherwise, I would spend my time, watching old Jim Crockett promotion stuff on the network and watching Ring of Honor and New Japan. And that would be my soul wrestling stuff right there. But I'm invested in this handful of people in WWE, so I keep going back, like you, being optimistic that maybe, just maybe, someday we'll see their dreams come true.
Right. And you know, I'm relatively fortunate in that, like, for some of these guys, it is a personal thing. Like, I went to barbecues with Sarah Del Rey and Claudio Castagnoli. I went, you know, and hung out backstage with Brody Lee as he's whipping pistachios at Leonard Chikarson's wife. Like, it's things that, like, I know these people. Like, I've been around them, and I know who they are as people and what kind of passion they have. And yeah, it sucks when, you know, Cesaro gets dicked around in the middle card and kind of finds his footing, and then it's pulled out from underneath him. Or, you know, Mox goes into this thing where he's cutting ridiculous promos and everything in the world points to him taking this, and he doesn't. It sucks, and it's almost like watching, you know, something happen to a friend. And in some cases, it is that. And I don't know.
It's because you're invested.
I want to believe. Yeah.
You know, that's like I've interviewed a bunch of these guys that are in this cruiserweight deal coming up. And it's like, I'm excited for them because I know that this was their dream. And I'm scared half to death for them because they're doing it in WWE.
Right. And I think, you know, because it is a little bit removed from what that is, like, I don't think, you know, with Gargano or Sabre or any of those guys, that it can be mismanaged to the point where they're going to have careers. Like, it's going to be an indie career, and they're totally fine with that in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm. They don't need WWE. They've even said they don't really want WWE.
Yeah. I mean, if everybody took that Colt Cabana sort of mindset of, I can make this work. This is what I do. This is my job. This is what I love. But at the same time, it's not where the money is. It's not where, and that's not the driving factor for a lot of people. But when you're there, like Ambrose, Cesaro, Rollins, you know, to a lesser extent because he has had the success that he's had, you know, you get to almost a dead end point. Like, it's going to be very difficult for somebody like Dean Ambrose to go back to the Indies after this. It's going to be hard for, you know, and this is just where they're at. Dolph Ziggler will never go to the Indies. Like, he'll be a comedian.
That's fine with me. The sooner the better.
Well, I'd love for him to just stop trying to be Shawn Michaels, especially tonight with him actually tuning up the band was very, very frustrating. The Stone Cold podcast that he did with Shawn Michaels, where he, without saying Dolph's name, said, you know, there are these guys that are basically trying to be me, and it's like, no, you need to do your own thing. How Dolph Ziggler is at this level and he doesn't get that that's what he needs to do baffles me, but that's neither here nor there. He's kind of a lost cause at this point, unfortunately. And
he's done a lot of that to himself.
Oh, absolutely.
Social media and putting his foot in it more times than I can count.
Yeah, 100%. But, you know, for most of like, Solomon Crowe is a really good example of somebody who saw the writing on the wall and asked for please. You know, Sami Callihan, I adore him.
I do too. I think he's so good.
Like, I'm in Eastern Pennsylvania, so like CZW is another one that's right here. And it's another guy that I got to watch kind of develop his character in the different promotions out here. You saw what he's done in PWG. Like, for him to go, okay, you know what? This isn't going to happen. I'm gone. I don't think that's going to be the popular way to go for a lot of people, because when you hit a certain level of success, like a Sami Zayn, even if he goes to the main roster and is given the exact same treatment that Cesaro did, he wants to do this. This is what his passion is. And I think he would have an okay time transitioning back as an El Generico in the Indies. And there's a lot of people that probably wouldn't even know, you know, that that's who he was to an extent. Like,
El Generico is down in Mexico somewhere feeding orphans.
You're right. It's my apologies.
See, he is down there feeding orphans. He's cheering Sammy on.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's going to be an interesting couple months, I think.
Yeah, and seeing on the flip side of that, you've got guys like Kenny Omega, who's, you know, in New Japan right now, and WWE has been trying to get him for years, ever since he left OVW, and he's flat out said, I have seen what they have done to my friends. I have seen what they have done to people that I have, you know, trained with and come up with in the business. I'm not going back.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to do it. So, guys like Kenny Omega who are so great in New Japan, I don't see him ever going to WWE. And as big and as good as he is right now, I don't think he needs to.
No.
He loves the business just as much as Sami Zayn does, or Kevin Owens, or Nakamura, who it was his dream to broaden his horizons and come to the U.S. and wrestle here. I don't think guys like Omega have any desire to come to WWE because more and more of them are seeing what happens to their, indie comrades who have come to WWE and just been treated like shit. Right. I don't think we'll ever see the Bucks either. The hottest tag team in the world, And
that's 100%, because of, what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And all the more power to them. And I think Finn kind of puts a weird spin on it for a lot of those guys. Like, I think you're seeing more people go because of the success that Finn has in NXT. But you're going to get to a point where people aren't going to want to go to the main roster, period. NXT is such a different thing from the same company that, they're attracting these people that know they don't have the right look. They're not big enough, whatever. But they can still flourish and have that rabid fan base and get paid more to do that.
I don't think Devitt has any desire to go to the main roster.
No, and he shouldn't.
He said flat out that he doesn't want to. Bayley has said that she's fighting to stay down in NXT.
Yeah.
Which tells you about the sad state of affairs that the main roster is in.
I know.
I think until Triple H is running the big show, it's going to be that way.
Yeah, and Vince is going to be around for another 60 years just to spite us.
But
I don't think he will. I don't think he will agree to the dying thing.
Yeah. Well, I get that, the Shane thing was storyline, but there was so much truth spoken in those promos.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know that Shane would be the guy to do that, but Triple H has proven he can be.
Yep.
And so we're a ways away, but this could be what we want it to be. This can be what we've all, as wrestling fans, have envisioned this to be. We just got to wait it out.
And all we have to do is look at NXT to see what it could be. And in a lot of ways, that makes it worse.
Well, on the other side of the coin, though, we do have NXT to watch. You do have things like New Japan World. You can go and watch.
Thank God for New Japan World. Thank God for New Japan.
Plug the 410 Invasion Attack show that's coming up. But yeah, there's New Japan to watch. There's NXT to watch. It's not like we as fans are being held hostage and only given the choice of watching WWE. I mean, heck, if you want to watch ROH, there's ROH you can watch. If you want to watch other indies, go out and watch other indies. If you want to watch other Japanese indies, there's ways to see that too. So there's a lot of wrestling that is out there, and WWE is not the be-all, end-all of professional wrestling or sports entertainment, however you want to phrase it.
I just wish they would realize that.
Yeah, so on that, I think my final thought of WrestleMania 32 is support your local indie.
Yep.
Sounds good. We'll get some cheap plugs and get out of here. We'll start with you again, Mike. Anything you want to plug?
Yes, actually, no, nothing. I have nothing to plug.
Nothing to plug? No upcoming appearances on Angry Marks?
Oh, yes. Impact Implosion on Tuesday night.
There you go.
That, probably by Wednesday morning whenever it's uploaded.
Wonderful, yeah. Put yourself out there and take it for the team as you watch Impact and report on that. So
yeah, yep.
Good job there. And Dan Berg, anything you want to plug?
Well, I do want to thank Killer Kev for inviting me. I think he and I are friends on Facebook, so he saw how salty I was during pretty much the entire broadcast. So I love that, I'm still welcome in this group when needed. I am in a band. We're called the Semi Originals. You can find us on Facebook. We do punk rock covers of popular songs. It's a lot of fun. If you want to, you can check that out. We do have a bunch of stuff recorded that you can get through this weird Bandcamp that some dude set up for us, where you can download this stuff for free. So, hey, it's there. Semi Originals.
Semi Original. And Abby, any plugs you want to get out there?
Okay, for anybody that wants to see real good professional wrestling, I will do like I always do and plug New Japan World. the best 999 yen you can spend a month, which is, I got charged $8.42 this month, but it's somewhere around $8.89 right now with the exchange.
$8.96. I just looked it up. So it is going up, but it's still under $9.
Hey, I'm getting charged less, so I'm good with it. I also write for Ringside News and Pro Wrestling Authority and Top Rope Press. And I did write a piece on AJ's Loss Tonight on Top Rope Press that everybody should read. And also you can find my snarky, sarcastic self on Twitter at AbbeyBrook2121.
All right, and I will plug our Thursday night AMP, myself and Abby. Killer Kev's there sometimes, Stevie J, sometimes Mr. Parrot Shirt, who shall remain nameless, comes on. I'll also plug NJPWWorld.com as well, because New Japan is some awesome wrestling to watch. You can get at me on Twitter. I'm at Great Sudoku, and I'll plug my vegan cooking blog, veggiebending.wordpress.com. And Killer Kev wants to do a plug too, so let's get Kev on here and he can do his plug.
Well, just make sure you tune in to AngryMarks.com for everything in professional wrestling and mixed martial arts. We will follow up tonight's podcast with another one tomorrow night, the Raw Reaction at around 11:30, right after WWE Raw gets off of the air. So be sure to listen to that. And I just wanted to mention that I just published a new editorial on AngryMarks.com discussing the failure of the Roman Reigns project and how it may be possible to still revive him and maybe get some good use out of him. So I encourage you to go check out that article as well. Of course, check out all the rest of the coverage we had for WrestleMania weekend. If you've not already seen it, the NXT recap, a NXT podcast done between Stevie J and Emerson Whitner, both whom were live at the show this past weekend as well. And we'll have more